Hi guys, Chris from Invesrep here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Alright, before I jump on to part 2 of spring breeders, there's something I need to do today and it'll actually fit into the video. And it's one of those things, I've only got one take, so I can't make mistakes on this. We all get that one snake, and this is open for debate. And I think we'll leave that one for a different video. It's just, this is like a little insert. So what sometimes happens, your snake goes off food because he just wants to, his Indian personality and nature. And ball pythons is a very good example of that. They'll go off food for months on end. I know a buddy of mine, he's one python, not a ball python, one of his reticulated pythons went off of food for a year and a half. And how you establish this, you need to weigh them. If you see them maintaining their weight, there's not a lot to worry about. But you can visually see there's something wrong with the snake. There's going to be a time that you need to step in. But for this video, I'm specifically going to talk about assist feeding hatchlings. Sometimes you do get snakes, and we're going to save that one for the black-headed pythons. There's a lot of information about how you can get black-headed pythons eating on their own. I can tell you now from personal experience and speaking to guys that's been breeding them for years, multiple times, the only way you're going to get a black-headed python eating is by assist feeding them, unless you've got blue-tongue skinks and their natural diet to your disposal, which I don't. So once you've got your hatchlings and you see they're not really going, there's a few things you can do. Scenting is one of them. Different scenting options, day-old, quail chicks. There's a lot of things that you can try, and once you've run through all of the options and they're still not taking, hatchlings, especially after the first shed, they're not eating, they are going to start deteriorating. So you need to step in as a breeder and assist them. So these two guys are Amazon true boas. They arrived at the facility a couple of weeks ago, and when they arrived with a world of problems on their own. Number one, I noticed they were a bit small from what the guy claimed the breeding date was. And number two, they had problem sheds. So the whole circumstances where they were kept in was completely wrong. So I've established them in the rack system. The one is starting to establish pretty well, but the other one is still a bit of a problem feeder. So what we're going to do today on videos, I'm going to show you step by step, how we assist feed and what you need to do. Assist feeding and force feeding are two different things. Assist feeding is exactly what it says, is I'm just assisting him to start eating on his own. After about 3 or 4 assist feeds, that snake should be eating on its own. And this one's showing the right signs. I've offered it food multiple times. It would not take it. Before we start, I'm going to try and offer him a dead pink, see if he takes it. If he doesn't take it, we're going to go over to assist feeding. Otherwise, we've got this one. This one is actually the real problem child here, but the principle will be the same throughout both. Okay guys, we've established he doesn't want to take on his own. You can see the interest is getting a lot better, but it's still not there. So I probably might get nipped now. So what I've done now, I've taken my large feeding tweezers, and this is going to play a role, because when you do assist feed them, they need to be in the natural position. And then basically what you do, you need to find a prey item that's a little bit bigger than the head, but not too big. As you can see, there was actually some reaction there. So let's just first try one more time. As you can see, there is definitely interest, but not where he's taking. Okay, so I'm not slapping him or anything like that. Just holding it there, and he doesn't want to go. All right, so the next step is we're going to go over to assist feeding. The first thing is, I'm actually just using this as a perch. And what you need to do is you need to secure the head just very gently. This normally the part where you get your nips coming in. I mean, this doesn't look pretty. Not a lot of people love doing this, but if it's your only way to ensure the animal survival, then we've got to go that route. All right, so what I do is I use the mouse's nose to lift up the snake's nose. You can see he's already opening up his mouth. And I just insert the mouse. No, okay, try again. Okay, but you can see this actually going pretty well. So what I will do on the second run, so just insert a little bit tighter, squeeze down and pull slightly back so that the fangs or the teeth can hit in. Then I'll actually let him perch on his own. There we go. And I leave him. Okay. And he should start eating pretty soon. Okay, so he's got his meal down, and it's pretty crucial at this stage of the process. So when he starts feeding, you need to get yourself out of the picture with minimum movement. And because you've got a heat signature and these guys got heat pits, they don't appreciate any movement around them. So there's a good chance they'll actually spit out the food and take a defensive posture against you. So get yourself out of the picture. I take a chair in the corner, quite a distance away, a couple of meters away, and I'll just watch him. And I'll just use that time to catch up on YouTube and TikTok and whatever is going on social media or in the world. Okay, but he's now taken the thing down. Also, again, with minimum movement and stress, I'm just going to put him back in and basically just slide him off without trying to get bitten. And there you go. One happy snake and one more to go. Okay, so let's try this little fellow here. Just wake him up. Okay, he's striking, but
I'll get the angle.
Okay, there we go. So I had to assist feed this little fellow twice, and he just taken on his own. I offered this guy straight after tongs, and it was actually a chilled out pink, and he took immediately. So yeah, you can see after 2 assist feeds, he's ready, up and going. The other one should be starting the next week or 2 on its own. But yeah, this is a great example of where assist feeding comes in. Okay guys, so these were great examples. So before we even started, I said this was the difficult one of the 2, and ended up that this one just needed a little bit of assistance. This one's now taking on its own. So this one's now established. After 2 or 3 meals, it will actually just take normal to food. This one I'm pretty confident on from the next meal will go on. And there's quite a lot of species, I mean, just on top of the black-headed here. Once these babies hatch, I'm actually going to do a whole thing on establishing hatchlings. I don't know whether the guys don't want to do it on YouTube or they want to share trade secrets, but assist feeding with black-headeds in other parts of the world, including South Africa, it's a must. We need to do it like that. Sorry, we've got our little brown mascot running around. She just bumped the camera. So if you see the shake, just look past it. All right, guys. So I hope that helps you with regarding to assist feed. But the most important aspect of that is don't stress the snake out. Be gentle and let it be. So these were Amazon. So just a note on that. So I used one of my feeding tongs as a perch for them. With ground feeding, and we'll do an insert on ground feeding, assist feeding as well. All I do is I'll do exactly the same, but I'll also squeeze down gently, let the teeth hook, and I'll put it down on the ground, leave them, and remove myself from the picture, sit down, do whatever I need to do, and after about 15-20 minutes, I'll actually just check up on the snake, or I can see there's movement going about. Sometimes it's frustrating. You sit there for 20 minutes, you'll hang on to it, you'll do a couple of promising moving forwards onto the prey, and he just spits it out, looks at you. Give it 2 or 3 attempts. Don't give up on the first attempt. Give it 2 or 3 attempts and see what happens. If that doesn't work, we'll go over to force feeding, which I completely dislike, but unfortunately it needs to be done. It's one of those husbandry things that it needs to be done, and we'll do force feeding completely on its own. None of my snakes at the moment require force feeding, so I'll only do a force feeding video once I do get a snake that does require force feeding. Last year I had 2 black-headed juveniles. Ironically, so I chose 2 holdbacks out of the batch, and they were the worst. And my female consistently had to get force fed until she started going over to assist feeding, go over to eating by herself. And just to give indication while we're here, a lot of people think now it's a problem snake, size-wise and everything. Just to give an idea, what an 11-month-old blackhead. Remember, this was a problem feeder. This is 11-month-old black-headed python. It's not obese. It's a muscular snake. You can see the muscle tone in him. He's in prime condition. So they're already on medium rats, frozen thawed, on their own, and they never refused food. You actually got to check if they're in the blue sometimes, because they'll even eat while in the blue. So you almost got to watch them on their own. And this is a great example that assist feeding doesn't mean you've got a problem snake. It just means you've got a problem for that time period that you got to deal with. Okay, so I'm just going to put this guy back. Guys, that's the end of the show. If you've got any input, please feel free to leave it in the comments for us and be part of the whole discussion. But I hope this helps. If any of you guys are struggling with non-feeders, and like I said, just remember, keep an eye on the weight of the snake. That will determine whether you need to go over to assist feeding. This was more towards hatchlings and neonates. But if you've got a big snake that's not eating, watch the weight. If it starts losing weight pretty fast, then you can look at assist feeding. But as long as it's looking good, looking healthy, looking active, the tongue flickering, John's actually going to do a whole insert on looking for a healthy snake when you buy it. And if it's got all those aspects while not feeding, don't stress about it. People stress too fast about snakes not feeding. My one Woma python went off food, and people say Womas don't go off food. She went off food for 3 months and she bred out. So great example of don't overstress and don't overthink it. All right, guys, end of the show. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.